welcome back to episode 4 now of A Girl's Gotta Talk. Oh my gosh. Okay. I say oh my gosh too much on this podcast, but I can't believe we're doing episode 4 already. This feels like it's been flying by, even though episodes have been coming out every other week, which is nice for me because it gives me time to like edit and like make more reels and stuff like that. But I do want there to be a point where they come out every week because I do enjoy doing this. But today on the podcast, we have one of my other best friends. I have so many best friends, guys. But we have one of my best friends, Penny Walker. Say hi, Penny.
Hey.
She's been one of my best friends since sophomore year of college. We were supposed to live together, and then I ended up like switching the dorm that we were supposed to live in together because I hated that dorm.
It was horrible.
She lived there still, and it was terrible. So like I missed out living with her because, you know, we would have been close, because we got close, but that dorm was not great. But we still went out to like lunch and stuff when she got to campus, and then we've just been friends ever since. So I think like, you know, I was like, I want to have her on the podcast. Like, me and Penny are the people in my life that I know that like talk the same amount. Like
I'm a yapper.
Yeah, we're both yappers. Like, we can keep each other going for like I think 2 hours on end. I went over your house, I think, to nap one time, like in between classes, and sleep. And by sleep, we like stayed up and talked for like 2 hours, and I had slept like 3 hours that night. So I was, you know, like whenever I'm with Penny, we just can't help but talk. So it was going to be, you know, girls got to talk, so I got to have her on the podcast. And today we're going to be talking about spirituality, which is like funny because you're not super spiritual, but True. I am. Like, I have my little lotus tattoo, guys. I'm a very spiritual person. I have been since like I think COVID hit. Like, I think COVID, like, a little funny story. I greened out on an edible. Not like a normal dose. Like, I had like I think over like 100 milligrams of an edible. And I like greened out, and I was drinking, and it was just not fun. And I swear to God, that night is like what made me turn spiritual. Like, I literally saw I felt something that night. Like, that was the whole night the world shut down. Like, imagine being greened out on an edible, looking on your phone, seeing Donald Trump talking about how, like, the world was shutting down because of COVID. Like, it was a trip. Like, I literally thought I was tripping. Like, it was crazy. So I've been spiritual for a very long time now. I very much believe in the universe and a higher, like, power, not like a God necessarily. Like, I was raised Catholic. Were you raised Catholic?
Oh, girl, no. My parents are atheists as hell.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what I thought. So I was raised Catholic and like Italian Catholic. Like, my grandmother's like off the boat Italian, and like I was raised like strict Italian Catholic. So like me being spiritual and is like not there for them, but it's there for me. So but that's why I thought like it would be good to talk about this stuff with you, because I feel like you come from a perspective that's more so like a neutral perspective. Like, you believe in it. Someone, like, when I tell you stuff, you're like, oh, okay, like, yeah. But then you're also like, let me come at it from like a logical standpoint as well, which I feel like there needs to be a balance with spirituality and with coming at it from logic. And I think like that's also just like living in the present, like not getting too caught up on what could be and like the possibilities, but also being like, okay, what is happening right now? But that's why I thought it would be perfect to talk about this stuff with you today.
Yeah, I'm excited.
But obviously we have to start with our song and quote of the week. So do you want to start first, or do you want me to start with my quote?
You can go first.
Okay, so I'll start with my quote, and mine is relating to like spirituality. Just because I have multiple, and this is the thing, is like I have not enough episodes and too many quotes, so we're gonna have to figure this out.
I love a good quote.
Oh yeah. So mine for today, which I really like, is awakening is not changing who you are, but discarding who you are not. And it's by Deepak Chopra, and I'm probably not saying that correctly, but I love that because I do think that's a huge part of spirituality. It's like when you realize like it's like not changing like the current person that you are, but figuring out the things that don't align with you anymore and the things that don't fit and correlate with your life And I think that is like a key factor of what spirituality has done for me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's my quote for the week. What's your quote?
It's a good quote. Mine is from Eleanor Roosevelt.
Okay.
And it is,
we love.
"The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams."
I also love that.
Yeah, I like it too.
I feel like that has a lot to do with manifesting as well.
I think it does too.
If you believe in your future and what you want, and go for it.
Yeah.
But for song of the week, okay, this is gonna be a weird one because this is not like an actual song. Like, to be fair, guys, like I listen to like meditation music to go to sleep. Like today, like I was having a hard time sleeping this morning. I just have a hard time sleeping in general. Major insomniac over here. I was like literally up for 24 hours the other day when I was with Penny, and I was like, we had a night the other night. We had a night. Let me tell you.
That's for sure.
Yeah, but I was like literally up for 24 hours at that point, so I don't really remember it because, you know, we love insomnia. But so I was like trying to fall asleep this morning. I put like my Shavasana playlist on, which is like what they play in yoga at the end of the like yoga session. But this song is kind of like spirituality like related, because it's like, I feel like it's like what they talk about in here relates to spirituality, but it's not like an actual song. Like, I think it's literally 1 minute and 50 seconds. So it's Kaleidoscope by Coldplay, which is from their album A Head Full of Dreams. And you guys know Coldplay is my like favorite band of all time. Love Chris Martin more than anything. But Kaleidoscope literally talks about a poem by Rumi, and it's called A Guest House. And it's very spiritual, of like talking about emotions coming and going and changing and accepting that. And the like music behind it just makes you feel like you're kind of floating. So that's kind of why I chose that one today. I also listened to this to fall asleep a lot when I was in high school. So like, this is why I chose that song. But I feel like yours are like completely different than like mine, which is like why I like that we're talking about this today, because you're like coming from this is what I'm listening to right now, and I'm like very spiritual standpoint. So what's your song of the week?
Well, I'm just super chaotic, so I'll just listen to very, very weird music over and over and over again. But mine is...
I love it. I know.
I don't know who it's by. I should, but I don't. Mine is... Everybody knows this song. Yeah. "You Make My Dreams Come True" by Daryl Hall and John Oates. Okay. So, there we go.
Hall and Oates. Yeah.
You know? Okay. It's just very motivational.
It is. It is. It's like a good way to start your morning.
Music.
No.
Slow music kind of makes me...
You've told me this before.
Makes me sad, you know?
It makes you a little like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah,
like,
I need to be hyped up.
Yeah, no. Like, when I was in my Uber this morning, or my Lyft to Penny's apartment, because, you know, we had a couple mimosas before this, guys. It's Monday. It's Mimosa Monday. You know, we had to fit them in. But yeah, like I was in the Uber, and the Uber was just playing all these sad melodic songs, and I was like in my feels, because like I just like, you know, like there's a lot with the Pisces new moon and all this stuff, like astrology wise. I've been just like thinking the past couple of days, and you know, she's playing these songs, and I'm like, wow, like life really is depressing. And then I'm like, no, get out of it, like snap out of it. And like I feel like that song to you is like that, like it just like puts you in that like good, like you want to dance and like move around mood. But yeah, so that's why I like it. But all right, let's dive into the questions, because I am interested to get these topics started, because I know we have very different but like similar views, and I think that's what makes us like, you know, such good friends.
Agreed.
So what has been like a time in your life, or where has there been a time in your life that has made you believe in something spiritual, whether it is like a higher power, or like whatever spirituality means to you? When has been that like time in your life that has made you believe that like, you know, maybe we are here for a reason, or like maybe there is something a little bit more to whatever this life is?
Yeah. Well, I'd say that I feel like my higher power, per se, would be everything happens for a reason. That's kind of what I've always determined as my higher power. So I think in my life, whenever I've experienced a difficult time, I'm just able to really tap into that and say to myself, like, I do think it's so hard, because I don't believe in, like, I don't know. I'd say that I don't believe in anything in particular, but that I
Yeah.
do believe that there's something out there that we don't comprehend. And I do think that everything fits into the universe for a purpose.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think that in times of my life where I've gone through a hard time, I've definitely tapped into this feeling of like everything happens for a reason. Everything builds, even if it's not in a spiritual sense, everything that I've been through has made me the person I am today. And I don't regret that person.
Yeah.
So even if it is through more of like a logical lens, not to say that spirituality isn't logical, but
Yeah. No.
even if
I
it
get
is
that.
through like a very logical lens, I feel like that's kind of how I interpret my own spirituality, is just that,
Yeah.
everything is, there's an intention to everything, and everything builds character, and you can learn from everything.
No, I think that that is very, very true. And I do agree with that because, I mean, I almost got, like, everything happens for a reason tattooed on me. Instead, I got nothing is a coincidence. Because, like, that was also one of the questions I had, which is, like, do you believe that everything happens for a reason and, like, that nothing is a coincidence? Because to me, like a huge part of my spirituality, or like what has been a time that has made me believe that, is that everything does happen for a reason. Like, I like have gone through times in my life where I've been like, what is going to be the out? Where am I going to get out? Like, why is this happening? Like, so like depressed and at such a low that I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And then you see the reason why, like a month later, or like 3 months later, or like even a year later. Like, looking back at myself a year ago from like right now, like I was a completely different person.
Yeah.
Like, completely different. And everything that had happened to me changed me to shape me into this person now. And like, I do believe that like everything happens for a reason. Like, you know, I was supposed to leave Boston and go to London at one point. And if I would have done that, first of all, I wouldn't have met you.
True.
And then like I was like, so like that was like the summer that I met Penny. And also like I wouldn't be starting this podcast. I wouldn't have my job. Like, I wouldn't have met all the people that I met that have shaped me to be who I am. And, like, that's why I'm just such a strong believer. And everything does happen for a reason. Even if you can't see it, you'll see it later. You'll see it at some point. Like, maybe it might be 20 years down the road, but you will see it.
Yeah.
Like, if things do not work out, they work out, like, for a reason. Like, I always say, this is like it's like another quote, but like I'm just gonna say it because I believe it. But the universe always has 3 answers: yes, no, or there's something better. And like it's like that something better could be not right now, or like we have it in store for you, or like there's just something different that you can't see. And it's like, yes, we'll give it to you. No, not right now. Like, no, or not at all. And then it's, but there's something better. Like, we have something in store for you that it's like that everything happens for a reason that you can't see.
Yeah.
So I believe like that. And I like that there's like, because there's logic to that of like, you know, like some people apply for jobs and they're like, why didn't I get this job? And then the next thing they know, like another opportunity comes right up and they're like, oh, this is why. You know?
No, exactly.
Because like if this didn't happen, then this wouldn't have happened. Or, I mean, you switched schools too. So like, yeah, it was, but like that too. Like, think of like the fact that like we wouldn't have met if like that didn't happen.
No, exactly. I think it has played a huge role in my life for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I would not be where I am today at all if I didn't have faith in the fact that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Just because it's so easy to get caught up on stuff too. It's so easy to like obsess over certain things, to be upset over certain things. And I can confidently say that like I've definitely been in positions where I've like literally had to realize that like this is happening for a reason, and as much as it is horrible and it sucks, if I don't learn from this, like there's just no other option. Like you have to keep going forward. You can't just like get caught up on things.
Yeah, there's always a forward path no matter what. Like you literally might not see it and you might be like, why is this happening? Like this sucks. Like I can't tell you how many times in like career choices and like relationships and like friendships and like even my own like anxiety and depression and stuff that I was going through that I was like, why can't I get out of this? Like what is happening? And then right there will be the answer. And then right there, this will show up. And then right there, this will happen. And then you're like, oh, okay, this is why. This is why everything happens for a reason. But no, I definitely, like, I do think that, like, because, like, I think back on it, and I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't have met this person, or I wouldn't have done this thing.
No,
Like, if I would have went to London, I never probably would have started this. Because, like, who knows what would have happened. Like, and that's where I think, like, that's what comes into reason and, like, and like logic between like spirituality and like believing. Like, you do have to believe that like if one thing doesn't work out, it's because there's something better. And even people that I met that aren't spiritual are like kind of like in that same mindset. Like my very Catholic grandmother has been like it is, she's always, her favorite quote is it is what it is. And it is it is what it is, but like, you know, like, and I think that's just like comes with the spiritual fact of too, like accepting that like what it is right now is what it is, but like knowing that something better will come along or something else will happen is very much it is what it is, and everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. I always think about like a prime example for me, honestly, is COVID, which is so weird. And I always feel weird saying it because COVID was obviously horrible for so many people. But for me, like, COVID allowed me to get out of a horrible situation. Yeah. And so like if COVID didn't happen, I would literally not have gone to college at all. No. Would not be with my current boyfriend. Like, would probably literally be a drug addict. Yeah. Like, not kidding.
There's like a lot of stuff.
So, yeah, but it's like even horrible things like COVID, like a literal global pandemic, like, I don't know. Things can just really affect people's lives.
180.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
it's crazy.
It is really crazy. And like following up with that, do you feel like there is a balance of using like your intuition and being like, okay, I know something better is coming, or and you know, like using that, or like being reasonable and like being like I feel like there's just such a difference between, first of all, intuition and like reason, because there's this tarot reader that I like watch on YouTube sometimes. Her name is Aso Tarot. Love her. Shout out to her. She's like literally the best. But she always says, anxiety shouts, intuition whispers.
Oh, I like that.
And I really like that, and I think that is true, because when you're trying to determine like your soul from like your mind and all these blockages of like what your fears are from like what actually the truth is, like I feel like that's where like reason and logic and being like having an intuition can come into play. So like what are your beliefs on having an intuition and also like having reason and logic? Like, do you think reason and logic rules over intuition, or do you think there's like a good balance of having both?
Yeah, I feel like there has to be a balance. This like really reminds me of, I always forget what it's called in psychology, but there's like a hierarchy of needs. Okay. And at the top is like spirituality basically, and at the bottom is like survival. And so I think for a lot of people, it's like really hard to just reach that point of like being able to be introspective and like have that sense of spirituality, and they're only able to be rational thinkers. But it's so hard for me because I was raised by like a very atheist, very logical father, very logical mother.
We were just talking about this.
No bullshit. Yeah. So it's hard for me to like have these perspectives. Yeah. But I do think like, I mean, I think about like my current boyfriend, for example. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't say manifest, but I maybe would say manifest.
No, you definitely manifested him. Like the story of you guys, like is definitely like that.
Maybe not the best like moral thing that I've done, but certainly, yeah. I think that there needs to be a balance, especially for me. I think for some people, maybe like fully delving into that spirituality is good, but I think a balance is good because you need to kind of stay grounded. And I do also think that, like, looking at, for example, just my dad, who's very atheist, very logical, very smart man. Yeah. Love my father.
Shout out Kevin.
Yeah, love Kevin.
We just had dinner with Kevin on Friday, so.
He's a G, but it's definitely, like, I wouldn't say, like, sad, but I would kind of say, like, when you don't have that, like, larger perspective of the universe, I feel like there is something that you're kind of missing. Like, there's a piece of connection that, like, I feel even just like to the ocean, to music, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that type of stuff is so like spiritual, so like connected to your being, that even when it's not in terms of like decision making.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's something that a lot of people are missing, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that is true. And I do see that, because some people get so stuck in the logic that I feel like they forget that like their intuition like is there.
Yeah.
And some people will be like, well, logically, like, yes, this is happening in the present moment, but like if you feel something is gonna come, or like something else is happening, or like you're not in the wrong, then like you're not. Like, your intuition never lies.
Yeah.
And like girls' intuition, let me tell you.
But but as a delusional person, sometimes I don't know if I agree with that.
Well, yeah, I mean,
because there has to be like a...
I think it's okay to be like delulu to the point where it's like, yeah, delulu becomes trulu in like the sense of like your manifestations. Like I said, that was on my in list.
Yeah.
But like being delulu to the point where you believe like the things that are like, that just shows that people don't have like a good sense of like actually trusting, like, or aren't really connected to their intuition.
That's true. That is very
And I
true.
feel like people get more connected when they are proved wrong by like the delulu being actually delulu, and then they're like, oh wait, my intuition was wrong, and then it like kind of helps them develop their intuition
Yeah.
more. Like I feel like there's a good balance in all of that. But no, I definitely believe that there is like the fine line of like, yes, I know that this is happening logically, and I know for me this is the biggest thing I try to balance, because I go to therapy, but I also do spiritual coaching. So like having a spiritual coach, which I want to try to get her on the podcast because she's great. She's also my hairdresser, guys. So I love Amber. Shout out Amber. I want to get her on the podcast so bad. But like having a spiritual coach coming from that perspective of like, well, like you're a soul in a human body. Like you're not like a human experiencing, like you're a soul experiencing a human experience. And then also coming from like a therapist perspective of like, okay, well, this is logically happening right now, so this is how we need to go like figure out the situation like in this order, and we need to do this and do that. Like I feel like having both has helped me see really how they combine, but also help me figure things out.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like
it makes a lot of sense.
Like I've done stuff in spiritual coaching, which has been like inner child healing, that I've been like, oh, so this is why I'm like this and this and this. And then in therapy, I'll be like able to work it out more because I know that this is why I'm coming from this place.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Like,
I mean, I think it's interesting to me too. Like I have a background in like fucking 12-step programs.
Yeah.
But I think like looking at it through there, like that's like a really good combination of like, I'd say like basic like therapeutic techniques and stuff. Yeah. But there's also like such a heavy spiritual component, if people don't know that. Like it definitely seems very like God focused.
Oh, it does. Like
to like certain people. Obviously 12-step is like AA, if people don't know. But it's like they use the term God, but I was always taught like God as you shall like name him or whatever the hell they say. But I think, so like my therapy background was always very combined with spirituality.
Oh,
and I feel like
you always tell me this. Your therapist is so spiritual, which I love.
Well, my therapist is kind of delusional. Love her. I love Audrey, but yeah, she's definitely said some things to me before where I'm like, girl,
you're
what
like,
are you talking about?
You're like, all right, is this intuition or are you like actually crazy?
Yeah, are you like actually a little bit crazy?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think that even in therapy, like there's a good balance.
No, there is. And I think that like remains true. And like, you know, I've been like really finding out, especially as somebody who's trying to strengthen both her intuition and also, you know, do what my therapist tells me to do, which I haven't listened to Ben since last week, and I probably should listen to Ben because Ben is always right. But gotta follow through with what Ben told me to do. So, but my intuition's like all over the place right now, so it's like no.
Yeah.
But like, you know, again, getting with that, like when my intuition is aligned with my mind, then I know what to do.
Yeah.
I know how to move forward, and I'm like, I'm thinking both logically and going with my gut, because your intuition is your gut. Like your chakras, like your intuition is right there. And if your gut is off, like that's why people say, I could go into this for like 5 episodes, guys, but that's why people say your gut health is your mental health.
No, yeah.
Because it is. It's all connected. And if your gut is not right and you're already like going back and forth in your mind, then what are you going to do? You're going to make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
And that's why I really like sometimes if I'm like, all over the place. I'm like, Devin, sit down, breathe, ground. Like, what is your connect? Like, Amber taught me to do this really good meditation where it's just like you connect, like you envision all the chakras in your body perfectly aligned, and then just sit there and envision like a white light around you, and just like you're aligned. Like, just say you're aligned and say you're whole, and you're like, you trust the universe and you're just connected. And then I'll be like, oh, okay, this makes sense. You know? So that's where I kind of feel like both of them come into play. But I do feel like when everything is aligned, like your intuition and your mind, you can make better decisions.
No, it's true.
But so like what have been examples that have made you believe in like a higher power or like spirituality or like a God? Because like in AA, they do say like, you know, like, I'll be completely honest, I'll probably have my dad on for an episode, but my dad does struggle with addiction. So like AA has been something that's been in my life, and the 12-step program, they do use God a lot. And so like he'll send me quotes and he'll talk about God, but in my sense, I've always taken it as like God is like a higher power.
Yeah.
And like I think,
definitely.
you know, he was also raised Italian Catholic, so I think like he also thinks kind of higher power and both God, but like in the sense of like there's just something out there. Like, so like what has been like some crazy experiences that have like made you believe in that stuff?
I have a few. I have one in particular. Before I say that, I will say also that like I don't know why I'm focusing so much on 12-step, because I definitely drink alcohol and whatever, but
12-step can be for other things too. So.
But what I like about it is that it's not just like focusing on spirituality, but it's specifically giving away your own like willpower. Like it's like admitting that like you're not the center of the universe, basically, which I think is really helpful. But for me, all right, I'll give a little story, I guess. Okay. So, I don't know, I'm like, I feel weird like speaking to an imaginary audience right now, but
you got this. People
know the troubled teen industry is so classic, but I was definitely a proponent of that. But no, so I was in my first program. I was in like a wilderness therapy program, and this girl gave me this little, I don't know what it's called. It's like it was from Guatemala, and it was this little like Guatemalan doll, very small. And she gave it to me, and you're supposed to sleep with it underneath your pillow. And it, like, whatever, it's like a dreaming thing. And I always did it because I am a little bit superstitious, but I never really thought anything of it. And I would always sleep with it underneath my pillow. Sometimes I would get some weird dreams. And then one night, I don't want to get this story wrong. I think that I had slept with it underneath my pillow. And then that night I had a dream about, like, wanting to leave the treatment center that I was at, of course, because I like had those dreams every single night. But a therapist there who was very spiritual, Bobby Carter. I mean, honestly, she ended up kind of being evil, but she was a very spiritual person. And she came up to me that day after I had had this like very intense dream. I had slept with this. Oh, that was it. I had lost it prior to this point, so I hadn't been sleeping with it. And then I slept with it for the first time. And she came up to me, and she had a dream that I like needed to leave, and she knew that. And so then she had like, I don't know if it was like she'd given my parents money to make me leave or something, like there was something weird. But yeah, she like went up to me and was like, I had this really intense dream about you. And it was just so weird because I had just slept with this thing underneath my pillow, and I was like, what is going on? But that honestly like really affected me. Like it was crazy. I like there's just this feeling in your soul where you're like, oh my God, like how can you be that like connected to somebody? It's just so weird.
The dream world is so weird.
Yeah, but that's a big one. That was a big one for me. But there are just many times like
I think like seeing like angel numbers all the time. Like, I mean, I'll ask you this in the speed round because like I have like a bunch of questions for speed round, but like that like story of like dreams, and dreams especially, like yes, a lot of anxiety and like things day to day that people have. Like the one thing I feel like that's most like studied but so unanswered is dreams. Yeah. Because there's so many variations of things and weird things that happen and nightmares and this and that, and like I have trouble sleeping, but I still dream like all the time, and
that's
sucks.
Because I mean that's what happens. Like whenever people dream, it means that you're not getting good sleep.
Yeah, and
because you have the dreams in that in between like phase. Stage, whatever.
Yeah, but like the amount of dreams that I've had that have also come true, oddly, like I think, like, speaking, if we go off the dream sense, like, this is getting kind of, like, freaky, but, like, my dog that I had for, like, 16 years, or, like, 17 years, like, my whole life growing up had passed away. But that morning, I was having a dream that I was, like, walking in the woods, like, whatever, and there was, like, somebody that was, like, calling me from behind me, and I couldn't see who it was, I couldn't feel who it was, like, nothing. And, like, I, like, woke up, like, briefly for, like, 5 seconds because my mom had called me. And I was like, why is my mom calling me? Like, she never just calls me. Like, it was, like, 6 a.m. So I hung up. I fell back asleep. And, like, as soon as I fell back asleep, it was the same dream, which, like, never really happens. And then somebody, like, I felt this, like, heavy male presence and male energy. And somebody was, like, tapping me to turn around. And then my mom called me again. So I, like, woke up. And when she calls me, she, like, told me that my dog had gone missing. And, like, my dog was older at this point. So, like, usually animals, when they are older and want to go past, they run away. Yeah. And so what is so weird is that he was found in the woods. Like, he'd ran away and he was in the woods. But, like, I had such a spiritual connection to that dog. And that dog was a double Pisces. I did his birth chart. Of course I did his birth chart because that's just me. I know. It's
There's
like
no way
crazy.
you knew the time that dog fucking popped out.
No, we did. He was from a breeder, so we knew when he was like. We first of all adopt, don't shop. We love adopting. Like, all of our cats that we have now come from the woods. So that's great. But he was from a breeder, and we knew the time he was born, so I did his birth chart. So he was like very spiritual. Like, I knew that, whatever. But I was also connected to him in the sense of, like, and I think animals are connected at a higher level than we are, that we just don't understand.
Well, because they're not, like, forced to ground themselves in logic.
Exactly. And I saw something the other day that was like, cats are like the spiritual protectors and, like, dogs are like the real world protectors. Yeah. And so, but I so believe that. But yeah, so that was like a crazy experience. That was like, I had, like, felt him in that dream. And then when my mom called me and told me that, like, I knew he was gone. Like, I could not feel his presence. I could not feel his energy here anymore. And that was kind of like, that wasn't the moment that I believed in spirituality, because, like, I mentioned it earlier in, like, the me greening out, and, like, I don't know what happened that night. Classic. But, like, I was just like, I saw stuff and I was like, there's got to be something. Like, the next day I bought my very first crystals, and, like, that's when that stuff kind of started to change. But yeah, I feel like that was like a good sense that, like, made me really believe in that, and really believe in the, like more so that my intuition was getting stronger, but, like, oh, there definitely is something that we just don't know about, and we might not ever know about. But I don't know. It was just crazy. The dream world is, like, weird. Like, I can't, like, I think because, like, I feel like if I go back to childhood, like, it still is there in childhood, because, you know, children are supposedly more spiritual than we are. Like, when you're younger, like, you know, like, that's why if, like, kids tell their parents, like, oh, I saw something or whatever, like, and they're talking about, like, a ghost, like, believe them, because they're more in tune. Yeah. Because they don't have, like, the anxieties and the stuff that we have as, like, getting older and adults and teenagers that, like, is blocking them from seeing that stuff. So.
No, for sure. That just reminded me of, like, I don't know, like, it's cool that you have, like, such a distinct time that you remember when that, like, transformation happened in your life, when you kind of went into that more spiritual mindset. Mm-hmm. But for me, like, I don't really have that. I remember as a kid this, like, very distinct feeling that I had growing up. And again, like, I grew up very not religious at all. Like, you know, Easter, Christmas, church for my grandparents, that was the extent of it. But I remember having this feeling as a kid of, like, not being able to comprehend how when we die, like, we just go away. Like, that never, church and stuff, I could never comprehend how, like, when people die, their body, like, their soul's just gone. Like, I could physically not understand that. Yeah. Like, I felt like there must be something else.
Yeah. That was you being spiritual. Like, for me, like, I never understood truly the concept of, like, church and just one God. I was like, I never understood that. And I was just like, no, like, and then I would, like, not doze off, but, like, you know, not pay attention. Yeah. But, like, I never just believed that there was just, like, one reason or one thing. But, and speaking of that this is a good question because I just went to a psychic last week. Have you been to any crazy accurate psychics? Have you been to any psychics that you've been like, whoa, maybe this is making me believe, like, I already know your answer because we talked about this on Friday.
We did.
But, like, any spiritual psychics that made you believe, like, oh, this maybe is not true? Because, like, I've gotten the ends of both, but more recently as I've gotten more in tune with myself and aligned with myself and aligned with where I'm going, every psychic I've seen has been really accurate. It's really scaring me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, whoa.
So this, I think, is where my logical brain comes in.
Yeah, because you're like, okay.
Yeah, so here's what I'll say.
Yes.
I did go to a psychic one time. It was an interesting experience. I definitely felt like I was being profiled more than I was, like, actually being read in, like, a psychic sense, I guess you could say. But I don't know if I believe in psychics.
Okay.
And I mean that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe in tarot cards.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe in any of it.
Which is funny because you do have tarot cards.
It is, but, and this is what I'll say. This is what I was going to say. I believe in them in the sense that you can learn anything from anything. So, like, if I'm reading my tarot cards, I think that in a way, I don't really know how to say this, but, like, if I'm laying out my past, present, and future, my interpretation of those cards, it's going to give me insight on myself.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter who's giving it to me. Like, you can learn anything from anything. Like, I think just, like, I don't know. I enjoy it. I think at a certain point in my life, I believed in it more than I do now. But I do think that you can draw meaning from anything. And that's what I felt like that psychic was doing to me. I mean, they literally told me that my little sister was going to be a heroin addict. She was, like, 8 at the time.
Yeah,
like,
that's,
are you
like,
okay?
a little insane.
Yeah,
that's, like
what's going on?
A little much.
But, yeah, I don't know. I think some of it, and maybe there are psychics who, like, really are talented, but I do think that there are also psychics who, like, because I could do it, no offense, but I understand people pretty well. And I think that I could meet someone right away and ask them a couple questions and be able to, like, crazily guess some stuff about themselves. And I mean that.
Yeah, and I think the thing with psychics, too, especially being someone who is more spiritual and has been to, like, many different psychics, some psychics come from a place of just wanting money.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Trying to use, like, what they have is, like, a place of, like, oh, I can make a business out of this. But some, and, like, I know this because, like, even getting, like, my astrology chart read, like, my astrologer's great to the point where, like, I've seen her so much that she just doesn't, like, charge me as much because she knows that I genuinely have, like, a passion for learning it and, like, I believe in it.
Yeah.
And, like, she uses her passion is, like, yes, it's a business for her, but it's also, like, truth to her. So I feel like there is a balance of psychics that finds the, like, you know, the truth of, like, oh, like, well, I'm just gonna, like, I know I could scam this person because I'm somewhat accurate, you know? Or then there's psychics that, like, genuinely are, like, trying to, like, give that their best advice. And the things that psychics pick up on is, my psychic reading I got the other day, he was great because he started out the reading by being like, the only 2 things set in stone in life are death and taxes, which is true. Like, you're gonna die and you have to pay taxes. But he's like, everything else is possibility and, like, prediction. And that's where I think, like, people get too, like, oh my God, well, the psychic said this and the psychic said this. Well, there is free will. Yeah. And, like, free will changes every second. So if we're getting into the philosophy of that, because, guys, I minored in philosophy, so of course I'm going to talk about this. But free will is very much like, there's possibility, there's prediction, but if there's something that's meant to happen, the way it happens, how it happens, and when it happens is up to you, how you're doing with your learning process, how you're doing in your own journey, what choices you make. Yeah. Like, if you make a wrong choice or you do something or you do this or you do that, then it could delay the process of what's supposed to come, which is, like, psychics pick up on what's coming in or what's going out or whatever. But, like, that's why when I got the psychic reading, like, when the psychic said that, I was like, oh, I trust him because there is only possibility and prediction. There is nothing that is set in stone. Like, a true psychic will let you know, like, this could change, you know? But, like, I don't know. I believe in psychics because I do believe in picking up on that, like, ability. And, like, I've had, like, a very good... like, medium readings and stuff. Some psychics have been like, you know, like, I don't know, like, you've been right about some things, but not about all things, you know? And that's, like, again, with the I think it goes back to the free will and the timing of things. But I mean, the most accurate readings I've gotten have been from psychics in Salem.
Salem.
We love Salem.
We do love
Salem. But yeah, like Crowhaven's Corner, shout out to them, because the last 3 readings I got since September of like 2022 to like literally last week. I've gotten 3 readings. I don't get them a lot because they're expensive. I try to get them like once a year. But they have been like really accurate to the point where I was like, whew, okay. Like this psychic last week, like I did a phone call with this psychic. Got like literally he was like, are you blonde? And like, I'm not blonde right now, guys, but I'm naturally blonde. And I was like, yeah, like that's me. Like picked up on the fact that I like had another career in like makeup, because when I was in high school, I was at a tech school and I was in cosmetology. And it was just like, it was a crazy accurate reading, and the stuff he was saying, like he actually like said something about like my family life, like to the exact words of what I had been thinking. And I was like, oh my God. But like that was to the point where he also like, I knew he was a good psychic because he did say like, there's only prediction and possibility. Like I'm not saying that this is set in stone, but this is what I'm picking up on right now. And it could change based on people and their actions, but so that's what I believe with psychics, which again, it's using that like logic of knowing that nothing is set in stone other than the fact that you are going to die and you have to pay taxes. But like, you know,
I think for me it's like, I think I like look at psychics and I think that they're more so like reading energy.
Yeah,
you know
and that
I mean?
is
Like,
they are.
I think that that's like how I see it.
Yeah, they're picking up on the energy that you give them, which when I go to a psychic, like before I saw him or even had the phone call with him, I like cleared my mind. I put on my meditation music. I sat there and I was just like, okay, nothing is going to come to mind. Like I'm going to be completely blank and see what he picks up on, because like it was just like, and then it was insane. And like, I was like, oh, okay. And like the psychic two readings that I've got done before that picked up on like people coming in that have passed on in my life that I know very well are watching over me because of the signs that I get. And again, it was just like aligning. But I do think it is coming with that, using intuition and logic and being like, you know, they do want to make money, but also some people are good at it and will give you answers in a sense that isn't just them trying to make money. Yeah. So
that makes sense.
I don't know. But I mean, leading into that was my question that we talked about in the beginning of like, do you believe in coincidences? Like I literally, guys, like I have nothing is a coincidence tattooed on my ass. It's not on my ass, but it's like above my ass, but like whatever. But it's one of my tattoos and it's nothing is a coincidence in Italian because I'm Italian. And I just don't believe that anything that happens is a coincidence. Like I don't believe you meet people coincidentally. Like I don't believe that you choose things coincidentally. Like whether like it's like the kind of like the burnt toast theory, which I don't know if you've heard of it. Which sometimes it's like if you're getting ready for work and you burn your toast and then you're like, shoot, well, I need to eat before work. So you put in another piece of toast, like that toast, like you like that toast being burnt and you like going back and having to make a new piece of toast could have saved you from like getting into a car accident. Or
that's
like
true. Yeah.
Like nothing is a coincidence. Like nothing happens for some coincidental reason. Like even things people have said to me like have been because like another thing happens and then I look back at it and I'm like, whoa, wait, like I think you guys might think I'm crazy, but I like keep all of my notes of tarot readings I've given to myself, psychic readings, dreams I've had in like a 20-page Google Doc, like on my laptop. Like if I were to just, I could sit here for one episode by myself going through everything that happened with you guys and being like, this is not a coincidence. But I don't believe in coincidences. I think nothing is a coincidence and everything does happen for a reason. I feel like that plays into each other.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of like a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle isn't a square in my mind.
Okay, I've never heard that quote before, so that's interesting.
Well, you know, because like a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle is not a square.
Okay, yeah.
Because I do think that everything happens for a reason, but I don't think that everything is a coincidence.
Okay.
Or I don't think that nothing's a coincidence. Like,
Okay.
I do think that coincidences exist on their own.
Okay.
But that isn't to say that you can't always draw meaning from
So
something that is a
something
coincidence.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't think that, like, I definitely think that true coincidences, are rare. But I do think that they exist.
I do too. I think
Yeah.
it's like also goes with the invisible string theory,
Yeah.
which I don't know if you've heard of that, but like, you know, like something is always there and then it won't pop up until it's supposed to be in your
Yeah.
life, which like that has happened many a times. I mean, it happened like recently, like with like people that have been there in my life that until they were ready to come in, then they popped up, or they like were slowly popping up and then something happened and then all of a sudden their purpose came in and like why they were supposed to be in my life.
Yeah.
And I feel like that happens with jobs and people and things, and that's why I kind of don't believe in the well, there's just coincidences, because I feel like there's like everything, like
Yeah.
there's always an underlying meaning to something. And somebody in one of my classes once, I think her name is Jillian. Shout out Jillian. I'm gonna shout her out because I hope she said she watches it, so maybe she does. But she's like, everything is like the web, and it's kind of like the invisible string theory, but everything is connected to like the web a certain point. Like this person knows this person, or this person knows this person, or this thing happened because this happened, and it's just like, I saw something too, and it was like, you're only 3 people away from meeting like your dream celebrity. Or meeting the person that you want to meet in your
5
life,
degrees
or
of
like
Kevin Bacon or whatever the hell that game's called.
Yeah, so it's something like that. But that's why I don't believe that there's just like little coincidences.
Yeah.
Which like sometimes it's just like, you know, like I don't believe in that. Like I don't even want to say sometimes, because I just believe that everything happens. Like if you find a penny on the ground, like could be your spirit guide coming through, which
That's true.
Which I know, like, so for some people, like, logically, like, it's just you find a penny on the ground, you know, like somebody drops a penny. But for me, that's like, oh my God, that's a sign from my spirit guide. It might seem a bit crazy. People are gonna be like, after this episode, like, she's crazy.
It's crazy. I think that it like, I don't think it's a bad thing to like find meaning in everything.
Yeah.
But I think for me, like, it can be exhausting finding meaning in everything. And so I think sometimes, like, being able to say, like, yeah, maybe that literally didn't have any meaning is, like, a good thing, you know?
Yeah, I get that. Okay, I'm going to do the speed round, because I kind of want to have a little bit of, like, I think 2 of these questions I want to have, like, a small discussion on. Not much, because, you know, we have a couple minutes left. But do you believe in astrology? Yes or no? Because we've talked about this a lot. So
I'm actually like really like indecisive about this one.
Okay.
Because yes, I do.
Yes. We've talked about it. Me and her both have Gemini moons. That's why.
Gemini moons, Aries,
that's
Libra rising.
Yes.
Kind of psychotic of me.
No.
But yeah, I think that I do. But I also think that people believe what they hear. And so I think there's a part of it that like you will always resonate with what someone is telling you. Like they're so vague, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's hard for me. But yeah, I think for the most part I do.
Okay. I believe in astrology. I have my big 3 tattooed on me.
True.
I believe that like I've gotten my birth chart read. Like I believe in like the day-to-day astrology that we have. I mean, I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, I watch Red Robe Astrology a lot, which if you guys are looking to get into astrology, he's great. He's on TikTok. He's very accurate. Even my astrologer has gotten read by this guy before. But I do believe that like, you know, because like the planets, think of if you're thinking of it in the sense of like we are the universe, like then
but the planets have changed since then.
Yeah.
And they're not actually in the spots that we think that they are. So if you do actually think it's connected to the planets, then I would say that I don't think astrology is real.
Yeah. But
so that's
the
why
way that the planets spin, it's you've really got to dig deep into it. I mean, maybe it's because I've dug deep into it, but I do believe in it.
No, that's fair.
I do believe that there is like other outside factors like childhood and how you're raised and your family dynamics, like also affecting how people are in their day-to-day life. But sometimes I will look at people and go, oh no, like that was such like Capricorn of you, like that was your Capricorn tendencies. But yeah, if you do look at birth charts, like it's crazy. Like even birth charts of celebrities, like sometimes I'm like, whoa. Like sometimes I meet people and I'll see like that they have a certain degree in their house that they're like meant to be famous. And I'm like, oh my God, you're going to be famous. Okay. So yes, I believe in that. Do you believe in ghosts? Yes or no?
It's so hard for me to answer these questions.
I know.
I would say again, yes and no.
Okay.
I think that I do, but not in like any sense that we think that we understand them.
Yeah.
But I do think that like our energy doesn't just dissipate.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
There's a book called The Celestine Prophecy, and it's about 10 insights that were found in Machu Picchu, and I'll go through this really quickly. But basically, the last insight is that that everything is on this planet. Like, nothing leaves this planet. Like, all souls stay here. Everything is connected. Like, this is one plane. Like, we think people go to, like, a heaven or a hell or in the universe or their souls go somewhere, but no, everybody stays here. So I believe in ghosts. Yes, I feel energy is differently. I feel the room shift. My cats, like, I believe animals see them so much. But, yeah. Okay, so psychics, do you believe in? We already know that's a no.
Yeah, it's kind of a no.
I believe in them, so that's a yes for me. Do you believe in soulmates? Yes or no? You can have multiple too, like multiple friends.
Yeah, I'd say that I believe in like, I don't believe in, I think people think of it as like the one soulmate, and I wouldn't say that I believe in that, but I do believe in soulmates in general.
Yeah, I think you can have multiple soulmates, friends, family, relationship soulmates as well.
Yeah.
But I do believe in them. I do think it's like you can definitely feel when you've known somebody for years, or you're like, why did I meet you? And feel like I've known you for years and I just met you. What is the most seen angel number? This is the last question.
I see 1221 all the time. I saw it today.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one.
But I always see 1221.
I'll have to look it up. I think lately for me it's been 222 and 444. But for the past year, it's been like 777. So I think I'm going to get that tattooed on me, which is a good one. But in the past couple weeks, it's been 222 and 444 everywhere. I'm like, I can't catch a break. But that was the last question. I loved having you on. This is like such a good chat. I could dive into spirituality for like 7 episodes, guys. So this was like so nice to be able to chat about this. But anyways, again, subscribe if you liked it. Please be sure to tune in every other Friday. Hopefully I'll be doing every Friday soon. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next week. Bye.